Hey Math 1, here is the video guide for question 10a. Now the formatting on your corrections may look a little bit different, but the question should still be the same. So 10a says to use the functions f of x and g of x to complete the comparison statements using less than, greater than, or equal to. So they give us two different functions. The one on the left is a table, and we're going to call this one f of x. It's actually called f of x. But this still represents a linear function. This is a linear function. And over here for g of x, we can also see that this is a linear function. The only difference is here they give us the graphical representation, and over here they give us a table representation. But really, these are both functions, and they're both linear functions. So question A says to compare f of negative 2 to g of negative 2. Well, let's first look at f of negative 2, and remember that because the negative 2 is inside of our function, this is actually the input. So negative 2 here is the input, or this is the x. So when x is negative 2, for our first function, what is the output? What is y? So find negative 2 for x. Here it is. And we can see that the corresponding output is 2. So that's the first step, figuring out what is f of negative 2. Well, when the input is negative 2, or when the x is negative 2, the y, or the f of x, is 2. Now, for g, this looks a little bit different, but we're still looking at the input of negative 2. So remember that this negative 2, this is your x value. So find negative 2 on the x-axis. It's right here. And from there, you just go up and down to find your line. And here, this is the point negative 2 comma negative 3. So when x is negative 2, the y value is negative 3. So now comparing these two, 2 and negative 3, I can say that, well, the number 2 is greater than negative 3 because 2 is positive and negative 3 is negative. So at the end of the day, guys, we're really looking for this statement here. But in order to get that statement, you need to correctly figure out what are the values. All right, letter B says let's compare the y-intercept of f and the y-intercept of g. Well, the y-intercept, you should know, is always the point 0 comma something. All right, so on the table, it's pretty obvious to see where the y-intercept is. It's right here, 0 comma 8. So the y-intercept of f in this case is 8. And for the graph, the y-intercept is where the blue line crosses the y-axis at this point 0 comma 1. So my y-intercept for the graph, or for g, is 1. So here we have 8, here we have 1. Which one is bigger? Well, again, we can say 8 is greater than 1, or the y-intercept of f is greater than